No sound yet.
Siyata Dishmaya. See the papers. Was it? Was it? Ah. So that's a shloch. I'm reading on the Shulchan Siman Chav Zayin Sifov. It's in the papers in the first Daf Aleph.
Again?
If he told her, I'm your husband, Areini Bailech, I'm your cohabitator, Areini Arusach, I'm engaged to you. Eino Klum is nothing. Even if he spoke before Niski Kiddushin, it's a cheson in the language. It's not here I am. He has to take her. You are to me. He has to take her, not take himself to her. Take her to him, not take himself. If somebody gave the money to one and he told him, Arei at chami, you are my mechutan, my father-in-law. Gives to the father, he says, you are my father-in-law. He didn't say your daughter's engaged to me, and was a klum, nothing. Probably she's 12 years old and the father still can get the money. Chekas Mechoikik says, Ba'agos al-Fasi, before Shatam, he explains the reason is, Ki yikach ish isho motoiro. The man takes a woman, the Torah says, Shetei akicho lo isho, you should take the woman. V'lo le'avi, you cannot take her to her father. Father cannot take her. Says, Arei ad chami, you are my chami. He said, you are. Your daughter are to me. They take your daughter, not my father, not the father. That's the Havamina. You say, no, and it's a klum because you need to take the girl, not the father. So we made it. Yes. From the simplicity of the language of this agor is mashma. Even if he speaks to the father in the business of Kiddushi, Loi Mehani doesn't help. Because he said a bad language. Somebody speaks decent Kiddushi and just gives without speaking, it's okay. Because he gave after that reality, so the giving, he's taking her. But if he spoke the wrong words, I am your husband, you're my father-in-law, you're going to be my father-in-law, all those words are bad. Lo mehani. The domi lo areini ishech. This is similar to somebody says, I am your husband. Areini bailech. I'm your cohabiter. Gora is worse. Minosam b'shtika when somebody gives with silence. Stop. If somebody gives money with silence, but before he spoke, at least the Gita Kiddushin works. Where's the Maise Kicha? There's no Kicha. No, since he spoke about the business of Kiddushin, and then he gives to her, see, he's giving the money to her, him to her, it's a Maise Kicha, the mitzvah, the Maise Kes. What about the Dibu? But since he spoke about, they spoke about Kiddushin before, and he decided to give the money now at this period of time, so that's called Kikach. But when he speaks about the business of Kiddushi, and when he gives, he says the wrong language, Orat Chami, that worse. Destroys it. Because it's not, yes, because it's not taking her. He's taking himself to her. He's taking the father. Comes the Cham and he says, Velani uzdaiti eino nire klal. To my poor knowledge, doesn't look like them at all. Why? The Svora of Agos Alfasi. The shiny im omarin ishich. There's a difference if he says, I'm your husband. The over al mitzvah satoiro. He transgressed the commands of the Torah. Why? What's the command of the Torah? Amazing how he defined it. The husband is the buyer and not is being bought. He transgressed the commands of the Torah. The commands of the Torah. The husband is the buyer and not being bought. However, Be'im Omar Arei At Chami, turn the page. But if he says, you are my father-in-law, Omar, he said, Derech Remez, in a way of a hint, Sheikna Bito, that will marry his daughter, that will acquire his daughter. Minolon, how do we know? Livdois, to made up, the Roshois, Milev, the Roshois from the heart. Asher Niskuru Gemara, mention the Gemara. You have a whole learning that doesn't say in the Gemara. V'krotzovach, we have a verse that shouts otherwise. Es biti nosati lishazeh, my door I gave this man. He made up stories about her that she's not a virgin. She cohabited with somebody else after the engagement, etc. So that's the pasuk there. But what do we see? The father gave his daughter. How did father give his daughter? The father didn't give his daughter. The man took his daughter. No, the man took his daughter by the father giving me his daughter. So also when I say, Arat Chami, you're going to be my father-in-law, means therefore you're going to give me a daughter. Yeah, Vim Kain, if so, still stays, the father is the seller, and the son-in-law, the Khatan, is the buyer of the child from him. Right? So he says, but it's less than the other case. When the Gemara says, Lo Yomar Klum, as long as less, and you don't have a clear Gemara that's out, he says it's in. When you have a Reini Ishek, a Reini Bailek, the Torah says clearly, Lo Yomar Klum, the Gemara says, Lo Yomar Klum. But it says the Yikach, and not he takes himself. Lo Shikach Hatzmon. When he says Arat Chami, it's like, Bitin Utati Lishazeh. It's Romuz, Remes, Shikne Bitoy. So you're not transgressing the essence of the picture. That he is the buyer and she is the seller. No, her father's a seller. It still stays. What? It's not the subject. Subject matter is buyer and seller. Who's the buyer? Who's the seller? It's not a problem in the language. Ishes. That was what he's saying on himself. He said, you to me, not me to you. That's a problem. So in the me to you, then we have a case of a Agos Alfasi that he tells the father-in-law, you are my father-in-law. He didn't say, give me your daughter, I'm taking your daughter. So the Agos Alfasi says the same, it's no good. It's not good. The Agos Alfasi said it's not good. That's the Ramo. No good. Because you have to take the wife, not the father. The Ramo and the Agos Alfasi says in Kiddushin. But the Cham says it should be Kiddushin. Why? Because the difference between Areini Ish and Areini Bailech, that he takes himself, that when he says, you're my father-in-law, it's Romuz in it, that he can beat us, you're not transgressing the essence of who's the buyer, who's the seller. He's still relating to the father that he's going to buy his daughter. By saying, you are my father-in-law, he's taking him to as a father-in-law. And the father has to agree to be his father-in-law to give his daughter. So although he didn't speak about daughter directly, but the structure of who's the buyer, who's the seller, we didn't break. And we see clearly the Torah shouts and says, the father-in-law says, "Is beating us at I gave my daughter." You gave, he bought, he took. No, you gave, you're part of the giving. So therefore, he's the seller and he's the buyer. The father-in-law is a seller, like the wife is a seller, the daughter is a seller. And he's the buyer. Yesh kesef lo odon acher. It says, en kesef lo odon zeh. There's no money for this master when she has simonim or 6 years. But yesh kezel odon acher, but there is money to another master. Uav. The father-in-law takes the money. So if the father-in-law takes the money, what kind of language he tells the father? Again, if you're marrying a girl less than 12 and a half, 12 years old, or less than 12 even, and you give the money to the father, what kind of language you say? You tell the daughter, but he's talking to the father. You're giving the money to the father. Right? You have to talk to the father-in-law. Otherwise, no child, no daughter. Right? So he says, B'darshina nami, we learned also, yesh kesef lo donacher. There is money to another master. He's the master. Bu'av. And he's the father. V'lama yigra loshon zeh. Why kontach balfasi and agos alfasi in the Ramo, such a language should be ruined. Do be'emes. Because behold, the truth is, belekichas bito yuchomiv. When he takes his daughter, he is his father-in-law. He's talking about the result. Rather than when he says, I'm your husband, Zeu sheker, this is a lie. He uproots the kiddushin that he needs to take, that he's the buyer. He's not being sold to her. That's a lie. He's not sold to her. Like inim kereslo, she's been sold to him. Okay, therefore, tzarich iyun gadol lemaise. Needs a very big investigation lemaise. This is the chelukas v'choiking, the cham. Afilo diberim alis kiddushin. Even if he didn't speak to father-in-law about the business of kiddushin before. Mikol shekan olmoso. Or more so if he spoke to her before on the business of Kiddushin. Surely, the poshut be'enai, it's simple in my eyes, the Chelkas Berurah says. This is the halacha l'maaseh. Shchonoch, Cham. Poshut be'enai, simple in my eyes. Deino mazik adibu, that the speech doesn't damage. Umidei sovik Kiddushin lo yotzo. She didn't come out of the down of Kiddushin. At least. Midei of Kiddushin lo yotzos. He's afraid to argue on the Ramo. And goes on Fasi. But he says, the Choyro Vada, he says, simple in my eyes, I'm mazik, and at least from a doubt we didn't go out, and she should be a doubt at least. Don't say it'll klum. What do you want to say? Yeah. Or if you say Lashon Sheino Yoshi, not straight, the works are not. Normally, when you give the money to the father, you give the money, you say, Arei bitcho mekudeshes li. Your daughter is mekudeshet to me. That's a normal language. Here, when he gave the money to the father, he didn't say, I'm giving it to mekadesh your daughter. I'm just giving it to you. You're going to be my father-in-law. You understood? How did he give me his father? Because He's going to give his daughter. Who's going to give to who? The father was going to give his daughter. So I was like, he's taking her. Say no. The Goz Alvasi says, the Torah says, ki kachishisha. The key has to be to the woman and not to the father. And even Medaberis, Imalis Kedusha doesn't work because he said a bad language. So the Agoy Salvasi says talking to the father is the bad language. And the Cham says talking to the father is part of his father is part of the daughter. And therefore, it's not a bad language. Because it didn't change the structure. He's the buyer and she's the seller. It's true.
When we learned before that the language of Arayat Salati,
yes,
it doesn't work.
Salati is a different story. White Salati is a different story. Because Salati is not a matter of the structure who's the buyer and the seller. The Salati is a problem that the language doesn't mean Kiddushi. We call issues, but not it's not issues, but not Kiddushi. A relationship, but not Kiddushi, yes. Yeah. Good. Yes.
So now here we're saying that according to Al-Fasi, to the other opinion,
yes.
that his case,
the Cham.
if they spoke about Kiddushin,
yes.
it will work.
Even without.
If he says, Arayat swear, why would he say, Arayat my swear, if the might be...
Arayata. Why not? Gave me money.
Okay, it's a result, but there is no Kiddushin, there's relation, whatever. So what's the difference?
How you become Mechami without Kiddushin? How can you have father-in-law with no son? With no daughter? No, Salati is not. Salati is my bone, my rib. Rib doesn't mean she's related to me. Right? In the first of the creation, the beginning of creation, a woman was part of his rib. It doesn't mean she's married to him.
It's all romantic.
Romantic. But you my steak, my rib. But that's all. You my rib. Good, but there's no marriage here. There's no relationship of marriage. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what the Goy Mivilna says. No sana kesef. Alfasi is the Rif, but Agaot Alfasi is not the Rif. It's a comentario la Alfasi. The comentario la Alfasi. Al di Fasi. The problem, yes, it looks like the Spanish people have a lollipop in their mouth. That's a joke of today. No sana kesef. Good. Good.
I didn't get that joke.
Yes.
I missed the joke. Joke.
He's laughing. That's good. No sana kesef. Good. The Shulchan Aruch says, if he gave the money to the father and he told him, you are my father-in-law, there's no good. So comes the Goy Mivilna and explains why. So he argues with the Cham. He agrees to the Ramon. The Goy Mivilna, da Toiro Omo, I'm reading Biur Agro Lamed Aleph. No sana kesef. Da Toiro Omo, the Torah said, the Torah said, Ki yikach ish isha. A man takes a woman. V'chem b'gemora amrin al bitcha mekudesh esli. Torah says a man takes a woman. And also the Gemara says, when he gives the father the money, he says, your daughter mekudesh to me. That's the proper language. And here, when he tells the father, you my father-in-law, he's saying, afilu imo. Even if he spoke to her about kiddushin. Ve'yoidim, what? The Torah says a man should take a woman and your daughter should be mekudesh to me. When he says, you my father-in-law, it's as if he says, I'm your husband. It's the wrong language. It's like, he's saying, it's when he says to the father, you're my father-in-law, and he gives him the money, he didn't say your daughter's married to me, mekudesh to me. Just you're my father-in-law. It's as if he says, I'm your husband. It's not a good language. Yes. No, it's like another case. It's like a bad language where the Gemara says, Arei Isha is no good. He didn't finish to speak. First, he's setting up the case. He's now saying, one second, not a line and a half, you will understand. Afilu oyo medaber imo. Even if he spoke to her before about Kiddushin. The Goy Vilna. The next one, based the followed one. Afilu oyo medaber imo. I'm reading now the second line in the Goy. Afilu oyo medaber imo. Even if he spoke to her before. V'yoidi, when we know. Sheleshem Kiddushin Nosan. We know clearly from the subject before that he gave the money for the sake of Kiddushin. Eidim, and he spoke about it before. Eino klum is nothing. Kevon since Shaloi Omar Kemo Shekosu Batoiro. Since he didn't speak the way it's written in the Torah. Where? Kemo Shekosu Batoiro, the Torah says. Like not the way it's written in the Torah. The Torah the Torah said, is beating atati, I gave my daughter. Veloy satzmi, and not myself. I gave my daughter, I didn't give myself. So when he gives them the money, he says, you my father-in-law. He doesn't say, yes, I'm your father-in-law. I mean, mainly father-in-law. But you don't take me as a father-in-law, I don't take myself to you as a father-in-law. This is the good middle. Not like the Chelkas again. According to the Cham, true, there is a remez by saying you, my father-in-law, means your daughter's going to be my wife. And since the Oisig is a Kiddushin, that's, he gave my daughter, means when I say you my father-in-law, means giving me your daughter, I'm giving you your daughter. He says, no, it's a wrong language. Same says, I'm your husband is a wrong language, you need to take to her, not himself to him. Also here, he took the father-in-law. He says, Arat Cham, you're going to be my Cham. I'm giving you money. He says, Arat Chami, you're going to be my father-in-law. It means he's taking him. As a father-in-law, the father agrees means the buyer is the husband, and the seller is the Cham himself. And it's wrong. He cannot know about Cham, he has to sell his daughter. So therefore, he's changing. The Torah says, I gave my daughter, doesn't say I gave myself. So therefore we say he's sheker. He's going against the Torah. Same thing.
He's arguing against a remez because it's a derived cluster and he has to be medayik. So a remez is when you go the rice, you have to go l'chumra, not the cooler. He's going the cooler, but a remez it's a cooler and a possibility. It's for he's saying since it's a derived.
No, he's not saying that. He's not saying that. He's not saying that. Listen carefully. He's not saying that the remez is there. He says the remez is there, yes, but he said the wrong language. By him saying, Arat Chami, the relationship of the buyer and the seller is the father. And the Torah says the daughter has to be the focus. Because the Torah says it's beaten osati rishozeh. Oh yes, that's why. The Torah says, and the Torah says, I gave my daughter. So the giving and the accepting, giving and getting is the daughter. Now he's the subject matter of giving and getting is a father-in-law. It's against the Torah. True that he understood from it that he talking about the daughter, but the subject matter with the money that's buying and selling goes on the father, and it's wrong. It's against the Torah. The Torah says the subject matter should be the daughter, or directly, or by the daughter through the father, but the daughter is the subject. The daughter is not you. The subject matter you is against the Torah. The Cham understood as empty land, and you have a remez. So when you have an empty land, when he says you're from my father, it's an empty area. They didn't speak about it. And since it's a remez, it's not worse than Oisek Kima Kedushin, Sholem Oisek. Right? He says, no, there's no empty land. There's no empty land, Rabbi. Shlomo Agoy Natzadik. There's no empty land. The Torah says, it's beating Atati, my daughter, not myself. That's just midday. It's beating Atati v'lo isatzmi. I gave my daughter, I didn't give myself. So therefore, you giving me. I didn't give you. So it's not an empty land. It's what the Torah says is not good. As I say, when the Torah says you should take and don't take, you should take her to you, not you to her. When the Torah says her to you is not you to her. When the Torah says I gave you my daughter, not myself. Same deal. But here's Medafka. That's not goes unfast. Yes, that's the argument of the Goyen against the Chelos Choikim. What's Machloikes? So when the Torah says I gave my daughter, is it bedafka not me? My daughter, not myself? Oh no, gave my daughter, because the subject is my daughter. They speak about me and me mele remes means my daughter is also good. We found Chazal say kikach bedafka. He takes her and not him to her. He takes her to him, not him to her. That's bedafka. The Goyen and Mivilna made another bedafka. I gave my daughter to you and not myself. But the Cham says, no, I gave my daughter to you because you need to take her. So when you talk about me, it's understood that he's taking her, that I'm giving my daughter, he's taking her. She didn't change the structure of Kiikach. Comes the Goyen and says, it's not the only pasuk of Kiikach, he needs to take her. When it says, you, my father-in-law, means I'm the buyer, and you to my father-in-law giving your daughter, so still buy and seller still stays. He says, no. Even in the seller, it needs to be that he's selling his daughter, not himself. When we talk about him as if he's a part of the picture of the selling, he's not part of that. So that's also against the pasuk. Yes.
What about that they spoke about it?
Doesn't matter. If you speak and you're silent, I'm answering you. If you speak and you're silent, it's okay. But when you have the wrong language, it destroys. That's the whole idea of that goes alfasi. Just the Cham said is not wrong language. It's remes. The father is always part of the picture. It's a remes. It's not against. He's still staying with the structure that he's taking her through the father-in-law. The government says, no, it's two parts. He needs to take her, and he needs to take only her, not the father-in-law. Father is not involved in the taking. Because it says, I gave my daughter and not myself. If you have a post, not himself. So therefore, by him saying the remes that the daughter to the father-in-law, it's a bad remes because the Torah said not so. He's not a part of the picture. The Torah says, it's beating a tati, I give my daughter, not myself. So it's not only buyer and seller, also the seller has to be the daughter's a seller, and not the father-in-law is not selling himself. It's a bad remes. He says, and it's against the Torah. Since he didn't say the way it's written in the Torah, the Torah is being it's against the Torah. It's against what it says in the Torah. That's why it's no good. That's why it's no good. It's against what the Torah said. So therefore he says it's no good. What do you want to say, Yechezkel? No, no. What?
These things.
Yes.
Because I'm starting studying Gebäude, right?
What?
I'm studying Gebäude, right? And with all these things, I get confused.
Why?
I don't have the basics that the rabbi here has.
Right.
Because they had 50 years, 20 years of Toire. I only have 6 months.
Right.
And I know it's interesting. I really appreciate that kind of study, but
No.
it's confusing me.
I'll explain to you. You will go to Shimshon at night and learn Kabbalah. Good, but why you still go? Why? Why? Because we on the Shama, right? You love it. No complaint. Continue the same thing here. Okay, but you still go. And you grow. You feel you grow, right? You also hear you grow. 6 months ago, you understood maybe 0.1%. I said 5%, 15%, 20%.
An hypothetical case. Yeah. It will never happen. Like, it's an hypothetical case.
No, so you're making a mistake. The goal of our learning is not real cases. The goal of learning is to understand how the Torah works, to understand the knowledge, the reasoning of the Torah, the understanding of the Torah. Okay? So you have to use your head. That's why some people fall out. Where's all the students? I only have 4 students here. 4 or 5 students. Where was the rest? Wow. And I don't force them. Why? You know why? Because they need to want. They were never able to grow and get from 0.1% to 100% if they don't want. Now, how do you get them to want? You know how? Like speaking to them like I speak to you. Speaking to the value of the Torah, the Kedushas of Torah, the wisdom of the Torah, the excitement of the Torah, the connection, the holiness that the Torah gives you. So you do that, then you grow. What's that about? Okay, slowly, you get there. You went from 0.1, now you're 5%, 15, 20%. It goes, it goes. You know, from 0.1 to even 5%, the 1% is 10 times more. Right? The 2% is 20 times more. Good, so you're growing. If you really want, and I want to tell you something more. Diaspora Yeshiva is the only yeshiva in the world, besides maybe Ol Sameach. I don't know the other yeshiva besides Diaspora Yeshiva Ol Sameach. The only two yeshivas in the world that believe, and Diaspora Yeshiva is stronger, believe that Baalei Teshuva can reach a level of born from birth, religious, and understand the Torah in depths. That was my father, bless his memory. He believed that people can become a real time. Most people, if you ask normal rabbis in the streets, they said, yeah, Baalei Teshuva, okay, learn Bekiyas, no halacha, be good Jew, your son will become a Talmid Chacham, not you. You're out of it. You came too late. Because it requires a lot of energy. But we don't. We give you the chance. If you want to grab it, and you know what it means to give you the chance? I'm putting my heart and soul and time and my kishkas and my time for you to understand the depths of the Torah, which I can give it to students who are born from, like I do other yeshivas, and they understand it quicker. I don't have to exert myself so much. And I'm willing to give my time, and other rabbis will give you time, which no other rabbis will do that. They'll teach you Bekiyas a little bit, even a little bit, some Rishonim, the easy job. They're not willing to spend the heart and time till you really, really grow and understand from 0.1% to 100%. It's a big way to grow. My father, bless his memory, took about maybe 100, 150 people in his lifetime. He taught maybe 50 something years. And out of 50 something years, he succeeded maybe 100 people to make them Talmid Chacham. He taught thousands. But out of thousands, only maybe 150 really went from 0 to 100% became real big Talmid Chachamim. 150, I don't know, maybe 200, right? Okay. You're a big master, true.
Different between Talmid Chacham and Gadol Hador.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the problem of my need.
That's true.
Sometimes
Gadol
you get
Hador is a different world than Talmid Chacham.
It's true, true.
Thank you.
Good. You should be dancing, that we're willing to put the time for you.
Where's the last retreat in the?
Deloika Chelk Mas Mechoykek. Chelkan Mechoykek is the book we read before. So look, turn the page. You have Even HaEzer, that's a Shulchan Aruch. You have in parentheses there, on the left side is Chelkas Mechoykek. That's called Cham. On the Shulchan Aruch and Ezer, you have two major meforshim. One is Chelkas Mechoykek, and the other side we have Beis Shmuel, the Bash. It's abbreviation, Bash and Cham. Normally we have Shach, which is Sifsek Koyen. We have Taz, Turazov, that's in Yoredeya. They said Shach. In Even HaEzer we have Beis Shmuel and Cheches Mechoykek. Okay. So the abbreviation is Cham, Kecham, Deloy Kecham. Okay. Comes the Moira Agor what?
Thing that Torah has to be with the Torah define the relation. A remnant, it doesn't define the relation. Direct is not a remnant. He's one side is saying a remnant is okay, but male it's understood, but it's not talking about the daughter and the man, but the father and the man. You can't have a remnant that doesn't go, that's not direct. That's they're arguing about. It only goes on together. You said the remnant is good enough.
That's the Cham. And the Goyim says, no. Since the Torah said in a certain way, so then we medayik that he gave his daughter, I gave my daughter, and I didn't give myself.
Right, so remnants is no good by the villain.
Right.
It's not,
He made
it's
this
not in the getter of a remnant. The remnant's not in the getter of the
Of the Pasuk, yes. Moira Godol. Maslisi, this mission we learned, it's a Daf Ayin Chet Amud Aleph. We learned in the yeshiva last month. What was the last sugis we learned? It says there, Omar Lokin Sishtar Chovze. Somebody gives a woman a document and says, bring in this Shtar Chov. Take it for yourself. Now, Shtar Chov, normally a debt means a shtar is a document of a debt. But later on, or Shematzosa Me'achoyrov, or she found it in the back of her body, hanging in. Koiro, she reads it. Vareu Gita is her bill of divorce. Ein no get at she'imer lo Gita. He's not a get until he tells her, this is your get. Remember this Mishnah? Okay, the Gemara says she bent and she moved, the whole story, that's the whole, right? No machor in his back. So he bent, it was in his belt, and he bent to her, and he took it. Right, somebody has seen it exactly. But where's the dibu? Where's the dibu? When he says, oh, gitech, it's okay, but why not li gitech when kaka? So we separated, the whole sugya was, we gave two parts. One is the giving, and one is him saying later on. Remember? That was the whole, the Kashmuel, Balchonon, all those things. We separated the whole thing. That was, we learned it for almost a month or more. Vika de Kashele are those who have questions on this. That we learned in Masechet Gitin, Perek HaNizokim. ובפרק חרש ליבומס, chapter called חרש ליבומס, אומר רוב says, מעידו סוי של רבי יוחנן בגוד גדול, נלמוד. There's a Mishnah in Masechet Gitin, before, this is Ayin Chet, this is I think Daf Nun Beis. It says there that Rabbi Yochanan ben Gud came, he gave a testimony. What was the testimony? What was the testimony there? What was the case? He tells, what was the case there? You remember? case was here, Git. No. It's a Mishnah. We learned it here in the yeshiva for a long time. So Rabbi Yochanan gave a testimony. What was this testimony about? It says like this: Chereshet, she siavio, she yotza beget. If you have a woman that she's deaf, she can't hear, and her father married her. So now when she wants to leave the husband, he has to give her a get. Yes. Even though the father receives the kiddushi when she was a minor and she's a complete married woman, yet when now when she wants to go out beget, she can accept the get, even though she doesn't have das. Because a woman gets divorced by force, and I don't need her das. So I don't need no das. So he gave a testimony to Chereshet. Now Chereshet normally, if she was an adult, she cannot get engaged. She doesn't have no das. But here the father married her. Chereshet siavia. So to start with, she got engaged, she got married through the father, not through herself. When she goes out as divorced, she yoitza beget. She can get divorced with a get. So I don't need a das. I need her entering a das. But to enter, she went up through the back door, through the father. So I don't need her das. Normally by kiddush you need a das. By kiddush you don't. Here she entered the back door, by the front door, by getting engaged, kiddushin, getting married. She got married to the father. So I didn't need a das. And when she got divorced, the father's out. She needs to be divorced. But I don't need her das, even though she's a chereshes. She's a deaf. She still get divorced. Omar Rova says, from the Eidus, Omar Leidim, if he told the witnesses, who gets shani noisen lo? Here, see this bill of divorce I'm giving her. And then later on he said, he told the witnesses before, listen, I'm giving her a get. And when he gave the get to the woman, he says the shtacho, it's a bill of debt. He didn't say it's a bill of divorce. He told the Eidim, I'm giving her a bill of divorce. And when he gave the bill to the woman, he says it's a bill of debt. To the woman. The law is Arezim Ugureshes. Why? Milo Rabbi Yochanan her das. Rabbi Yochanan says Chereshes can get divorced as long as she's married because she don't need a das. I don't need a das to know she's getting divorced. As long as the Eidim know that I'm giving a star get, even though she didn't know, she thinks it's a bill of debt, not star get, not get. She doesn't know what it is. Since I don't need a das, it works. No, not to her, to the Eidim. Star chov. She don't know. I don't know. Not only that, she thinks it's a star chov, not a get. I don't care. I don't need her das. I don't need a das. I need just the Eidim to know, and I need him to give, and it's for the sake of that, and that's it. He doesn't need. I don't know. He said the wrong words. He told her that it's star chov. So Rava says of the Eidus of Eidus means he gave an Eidus what the Sanhedrin did. So he gave an Eidus that works. So from there we learn since Chereshes works to be divorced Ganori Das. Also, if the husband gave the wife a get and he told the Eidim it's for the sake of get, but to her he didn't tell us again. He said just Stanchova works. So comes what? He doesn't have to, but if he said it, it still works. Even shtika works.
He said in Then he said, if he, in the case where he does say it, and it doesn't, what is the function of that? Like, it is the thing, I have to be on the spot why it says what it says, but I mean, yeah.
Did we just lose the sound or is it me?
It's you.
Ah, okay. Okay, so I lost the sound.
1 second, I'm looking for the case. Maybe I did. Okay. Okay, good.
You have to speak, that's the truth, you have to speak.
Who?
He says the wrong thing, the same, he's left to speak.
Yes, he has to speak to the Adim, otherwise what? We're not clear.
Yeah, when he says to her afterwards, he has to give it, the course, he has to speak to her also, even though she doesn't understand, he has to speak. And he doesn't have to, but if he does speak, then you see there's a reason that there's the dinner.
And even though he spoke the wrong word, she's still divorced. Okay, we'll stop here. It's getting late. We have to sit there. The Moir. Yeah, we saw this Balamur, by the way, that time. The Moir and this all tachlis about Amira. Amira bekidushin, Amira in Girushin. That's a tachlis. That's all tachlis. Is if Amira needs in Kiddushin as part of Kicha, is that Amira part of Kinyan Kesef? Of course, it's part of Kicha. That's the whole thing. We just started. Okay. This is the Balamur. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashio, Emerotz HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Nezakah Yisroel. לפיכך, עיר בהם תלמיד של המען אברת המעציב וגמל, תלמיד וקדש מעמו, וכל דבר כוסה למוזל לך, יכול וכל דבר חולי שזו, והכל זה גורים רומי, אין שמירה בבוא, כל המלאו, ותאמר נגמר מצווה, מידה סנקה, לא לסנק זו שום ויפו, לילה זה וחוזר ושכוסו, ונכנסו לבירו רומי, על ישראל ועל רבנו, תמידי יום, ותמידי ישראל מיליון.